Okay. Sending messages to my Discord friend followers. As you can see, I'm very good at clearly, I can clearly form coherent sentences. A bigger lie has never been said. Oh, thank you for the follow. Queen Never Gonna Die. I'm gonna start the stream. I'm going to stop being on the starting soon menu. Well, I guess and thank you for the follow. How are you today, Queen's Never Gonna Die? Or would you rather I just call you Queen? Or whatever. In a second, I'm starting up the Twitch live, watching Twitch live on my phone, so that way I can see the messages that OBS doesn't show me. Nothing's more frustrating than when somebody's trying to message something to me and I can't see it because OBS decides to not display it. All right. So, without further ado, move that out of the way. I'm going to be reacting to The Most Important Man of D-Day by Leonard Bud Lomell, or is it Lomell? I've actually, to be completely honest, some of the videos so far, most of the videos I've reacted to are not completely blind reactions. A lot of them are just things which I go like, oh my god, this is such a neat little factoid, and then I want to cover it. But for this, I have never seen this video. And I actually do not know Leonard Bud Lomell, or how to even pronounce his name, or what he did. Hi Anne, how are you? It's been a while since you've been on a stream. I'm glad to hear you're good. Sorry I haven't really sent you much in the way of messages. Oh my. Thank you for sharing that little detail. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought it would sound funny by saying that, and then I just realized that just sound. I was just like, ha ha ha. I don't know why you just said that, but really it comes off as like, oh, tell me more. I'm sorry. Why am I just so good at being unintentionally creepy? So, Anne, have you actually seen any of the Fat Electrician's videos before? No, that's fine. Well, he is a kind of, I don't know if I should call him technically he's like a historian. However, rather than putting things in very boring language, he tends to put things in a way which is more easily digested by modern audiences. So, you know, that's nice. But, yeah. Well, he's an entertaining person. Some people really like the way he does things and other people don't. But either way, it's time to start because this is supposed to be a reaction. And I've got almost 10 minutes of me not doing the thing this stream is about. That's not good. But let's see.
The most important man of D-Day. If you get on the internet or you get in a history...
I'm just going to move back.
Who is the most important man of D-Day? If you get on the internet or you get in a history book and you ask that question, you're going to overwhelmingly be hit with the answer. It's General Eisenhower, which makes sense. He's the officer in charge of the entire operation, but that's not really what we're asking now, is it? I mean, when you have an Amazon package getting delivered, you're not exactly worried about what Jeff Bezos is up to make sure you get your package, right? You want to know where that mail carrier is. You want to know who the person is on the ground actually getting the work done. 156,000 men took to the beaches at Normandy, and all of them had an incredibly important job. Take this objective, secure that area, make sure...
Also, that reminds me, there's a number of people who try to say things about D-Day as like, they didn't delay D-Day, so we shouldn't delay this. And then it's just like, did you actually look up anything? They delayed D-Day a ton because of the bad weather. But, you know, I've met people who are like, they didn't delay D-Day due to the bad weather. It's like, yeah, they completely did. It became a problem because they had to delay it so many times. It's like, okay, this is the last day we could possibly delay this without giving away our location. D-Day is such a fascinating thing with all the weird stuff that went through. World War II is such an interesting time because of all the crazy things that happened. God, I'm 33 seconds into the video and I'm already going on a lengthy, thing. Sorry, sidetracked. Continue with the video.
Make sure this happens, make sure that happens. But out of all of those missions, one of them had to have been deemed the most important. What is that mission, and who is the man that went out there and got it done? That's what we're asking. Today we're talking about Leonard Lomell, aka Bud. Despite being one of the first men wounded on D-Day, he quite literally shrugged off his gunshot wound and proceeded to lead his men into combat for 3 straight days with virtually no food, no water, and no sleep to accomplish what is deemed as the most vital aspect of the D-Day assault, according to General Omar Bradley. And we're gonna get...
I'm wondering, I might have known about this, and I might have known about this particular mission, if it's what I think it is, but I've never watched this video, so.
Get into it right after a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. All right, we've talked about this before. Ridge Wallet's awesome because it helps combat a rare medical condition known as dad wallet, okay? There are actually men out there wandering around, carrying around a wallet in their back pocket that resembles a Chipotle burrito. The problem is that most men that suffer from dad wallet are denial about it, so there's a very simple test that we can do. Open up that purse with no strap that you call a wallet, and if you still have a Blockbuster card inside of it, you have dad wallet. Sitting on a dad wallet like that is ruining your hips and it's ruining your lower back. back. You need to get rid of all of the junk inside
Oh
of that
no,
wallet.
my
Pick out,
hips.
like the 5 to 7 cards that you actually use, put them inside of a Ridge wallet, and start putting it in your front pocket. And I know what you're thinking, I don't like these metal wallets, I'm old school, I prefer leather. Congratulations, Ridge is making leather.
I'm turning into a dad. Oh no, I'm already getting a dad bod. I'm making more puns as I get older. I'm changing. No. Hi person, you didn't come ultra late into the stream this time. Man, I can't say that you've abandoned me this time, or something like that, or joke about it rather. I don't think you've actually done that. But yeah, I hope you slept well, and I hope that you had a great day, Anne. Person, I'm an American. My stream started a little before 4 a.m. For Americans, this is a very, very early stream. Well, did you have a good time, or did you just, or was it tedious? Because, it can either be like, oh my god, I was stuck at home doing nothing all day, or it's like, oh my god, it was great, I got to do whatever I wanted. So was it a good stayed home all day, or was it a depressing, oh man, I just stayed home all day? Oh. I thought okay, well I guess that makes sense. Because also, you sometimes here you say you're house watching, or house sitting. And that means that you're just basically sitting alone in your house while your parents might be out. Sorry about that. Yeah, the medical show. With Hugh Lowry. The English man with a very good fake American accent. Did you know that he sings blues? Or at least he used to sing blues. I watched sorry, no. But yeah. Either way. What is blues? The type of music? It's please forgive. Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, was that what you were asking about? If you don't know what the blues are? Alright, well, I'm not monetized, so I don't think it matters, but let's see. Oh, I think that's it. Hugh Lowry. Oh, also. Sorry. Also, I guess, because people don't realize what Hugh Lowry actually sounds like, because they just assume, oh, he's an American guy. He is not an American guy.
It is an acting challenge, though, because you've got to be British pretending to be American.
Yes.
You've ruined it now. I haven't seen the first series.
Well, sorry. Spoiler alert. It's been lying on the streamer for 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you were keen, you'd have seen it by now.
Right. Olivia Colman, brackets not keen. Yeah.
But it must be quite a
That's
challenge
his normal
for you.
voice.
Well, it's also a bit of an escape route, because if you mess something up and it doesn't sound right, you've always got the excuse of saying, well, I'm not really, that's the whole point. I'm not really an American. That was a deliberate mistake that I put in there, which I didn't at all.
Yeah.
He is an Englishman. Well, yeah. As I said, he is from the United Kingdom, and he clearly sounds like that.
So I found that actually easier than doing House, for example, which I just felt like it had to be, it had to be right.
Yeah.
Because it would get in the way if it wasn't right.
Were you able to get to a point where, because I was just getting my head around being able to do so many scenes with a different accent, Do you just get to a point where you're naturally able to perform that? Like,
Never.
right.
Not one day.
Oh, okay.
One scene,
That's
no,
You,
no, no.
because you lived there for a long time, and with everybody being American around you, did it help make it more comfortable?
No, I still felt everything. It was like just trying to walk with everybody, and you're the one with a stone in your shoe, and everyone else is just floating along, and you're always going, that didn't sound right. That didn't sound right. You know.
1 second. Hugh Lowry. I'm not going to play much of it because I don't want to. I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, 11 years ago, he did also do blues. I'm not playing much of this because this is supposed to be. Yeah, sorry about that. It's okay. My stream is slow. It's slow like the person who's the streamer. Wait a second. I mean, what is it? Is it just like, like me cutting out every 2 seconds? Yeah. Classic old American cars. Just giving it. Oh my God! House sings. Or he's supposed to be singing, but it's just taking a while.
Well, I'm going to Louisiana, baby, behind the sun. Well, I'm going to Louisiana, baby, behind the sun.
I don't want this to be copyright struck, so that's as much as you're getting. But either way, yes, Hugh Lowry does, in fact, do, or did do some blues. Yeah, he sounds pretty good, actually. He's just like Seth MacFarlane in terms of somebody who's actually really damn talented. There's so many Seths that I know that are like talented creators. I'm talking about the guy who did Family Guy. He is a very good singer, and the fact that he seemingly voices like half the cast of Family Guy is kind of crazy. Whether or not you think Family Guy is funny, the fact that he can do... Okay. Ooh. You're getting fancy. Oh, sorry about that. I apologize. Either way, skipping ahead because of... I'm gonna... Oh, wait. Yeah, actually, that's... I'm going to start the actual reaction thing now. God, almost 20 minutes in, and I've not even made 2 minutes into the video I'm supposed to be reacting to. ADHD and Oh no! My autism is showing. It's out in the open for everyone to see. I can't believe it. I'll never live it down.
All right, our story begins on January 22nd, 1920, when Leonard Lomell was born in Brooklyn, New York. Shortly.
Oh no, person. The record would be the 17-minute video that took me over an hour to react to. Remember, you were there for part of it.
1 second. 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 1 second After that, his parents would move him out to New Jersey, and that's where he would spend the rest of his childhood growing up. He's the youngest of 4 siblings, having 3 older sisters, and both of his parents are first-generation immigrants from Norway. And like pretty much everybody else that fought during World War II, he grew up during the Great Depression. And as I'm sure you can imagine, being the son of 2 first-generation immigrants during the Great Depression was not really that great of a time. Because of that, his childhood was extremely busy. When he wasn't going to school, he was playing sports. He played football, he boxed, and he played baseball. And when he wasn't doing that, he was working. If he wasn't sleeping, it was go time 24/7 throughout his entire childhood. Leonard was straight up hustling his entire childhood. He had his own business where he would catch clams and fish and sell them to local restaurants. He also worked as a caddy at the local golf course. He also ran the local bingo hall. And in addition to that, he even had a job as a delivery driver for a laundry service when he was 16 years old. And then he got fired after about a month because they found out he didn't have a driver's license. If there was money to be made, he was going to do whatever he had to make it. Despite all of that, he still made time to have a 1-hour piano lesson every single day. Fast forward, he graduates from high school, and when he gets home, both of his parents sit him down, and he remembers this because it's the first time he's ever seen his dad cry, as his dad tells him, "Len, I don't have any money to help you go to college." Now, his parents are both older at this point to have a son just graduating high school. His father is 69 years old, and they have been poor his entire childhood, and he's watched his dad work his ass off the entire time. Len was not fazed by this at all. Not only did he not expect his parents to have money for him to go to college, he fully intended to go off to college, work, and send money back home to help support them. And that's exactly what he did. He went off and...
Yeah, you have to understand that back then, people were built different. Like, oh my god. Like, it's... I mean, some things were easier back then, and... Like, I don't know. There are things that back then were a lot easier, and there are things that were a lot harder back then, too. And nowadays, while there are some aspects which are a lot easier, there are also things that are significantly harder. Like, first of all, back then, people could actually get a living wage. Like, you could actually afford to have one member of the household not actually have a job and take care of or take time to raise kids. Nowadays, it's basically like you, your partner, the roommate that you're letting stay in, and your kids all have to work a job, and then you can barely make rent. But also, I'd say that back then they also were better at running businesses because they were not yet infected by the modern plan, which is really dumb. But I'll go into that on another video.
And he applied to every single college that he could, and only one of them was willing to give him an athletic scholarship, and that was Tennessee Wesleyan College. So that's where he went to school, and then when he wasn't playing football, he was working as much as he could to send money back home to his parents. Now, while he was going to college, the draft had started, so he figures, hey, I'm probably going to end up getting drafted anyways, so I might as well go off and try to join one of the military academies, because then I get to become an officer, and I'll make even more money, which is going to allow me to send more money back home to my parents. So he wants to start applying to all the military academies.
What? Oh, sorry. I thought when you said back, I wasn't paying attention. No, welcome back. I'm sorry, Anne. I didn't realize that's what you meant. I'm sorry about that.
Academies, especially West Point. The problem is he goes up to the recruiter or the liaison and he's talking to him. He has all the paperwork, but he needs his birth certificate and he doesn't have it. Not only does he not have it, he doesn't even know if he has one. It's not uncommon for people born in the 1920s and the 1930s to just not have a birth certificate. A lot of people were born at home and he honestly has no idea. And mom and dad don't have a house phone, so he ends up calling his older sister and is like, hey, do I even have a birth certificate? Do you know? Do mom and dad have it? Do I need to go figure out how to go get one? What's the deal here? And his sister gets like all quiet and awkward over the phone, and she's like, I think it's best that you just come to my house and we'll talk about it. So he's like, all right, this is weird, but whatever. So he sets up a time and he goes over to his sister's house and they meet up. So he shows up at his older sister.
And why? Why are you telling this? That's not very clean. Stop. Yeah, but you need to clean that part regularly. Okay, phrasing makes this sound like it's a lot worse than it is. And remember, YouTube won't see chat. They'll just hear me going like, "Oh, that's very dirty, no." So they're going to have to just imagine what they're talking about. Earrings! We're talking about earrings. But I've been too sidetracked, and it's already been almost half an hour, and I'm 4 minutes, basically 5 minutes in. I don't know if we'll make it.
House. She answers the door. She's being all awkward. She's got tears in her eyes, and he's like, What is the big deal? I'm just trying to get a birth certificate. What is going on?" And she kind of sits.
Depends what type of earrings. Were they the little stubs, or were you like literally wearing like hoop earrings? Damn it. Sorry. Trying to engage my chat while also reacting.
Him down, and she's like, "Bud, you were adopted." And he's like, "Okay, cool. So, like, do you have the birth certificate or not?" Like, he was completely unfazed by the entire thing. And his sister is, like, distraught, and she's crying, and she's like, "What? You don't care?" And he's like, "No, not really. I had 2 terrific parents and great sisters. I love you guys. It makes literally 0 impact on my life. I'm just trying to get this birth certificate so I can go off to West Point. How do I go about getting it?" And his sister is like, "Okay, look, I'll get the birth certificate from Mom and Dad. You just have to promise me that you won't let them know that you know that you're adopted, because it means a lot to them, because they really do want you to know that you're their actual son." And Bud, just completely unfazed still, is like, "Yeah, okay, cool, great. Just get the birth certificate. I got stuff to do. Okay, great, wonderful, bye." While his sister's figuring that out, he finishes up, graduates from college in 1941, moves back home.
5 is a rather young age to get that.
To New Jersey, where he starts working for the railroad as he starts getting the rest of the paperwork together and applying to all the military academies. And then, before he can get accepted into a military academy, he ends up getting drafted, and so that kind of blows a hole in his entire plan.
Oh no! No! I'm ruined!
So Bud goes off to training, and he absolutely crushes it for multiple reasons. One,
oh my god! No! Yeah, sorry about that.
that's just the type of guy that he is. If he's going to do something, he wants to do a good job at it. And for 2, he's smart. He realizes that the U.S. military is expanding rapidly. And with that rapid expansion, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for promotion. And if he's the best guy around, he's going to get that promotion. And when he gets that promotion, he's going to get more money, which means he's going to have more money to send back home to Mom and Dad. So not only is he just coming at this as, I want to do a good job, I want to survive, this man is already competing for his family to eat food back home, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, is an entirely different level of motivation that a lot of other recruits simply just don't have. Because of that, after he completes training, he goes off to his unit at the 76th Infantry Division, and he rapidly climbs the ranks. In a matter of like a year, he achieves the rank of first sergeant, which, if you don't know, is absolutely crazy. Like, by today's standards, that's literally impossible. I think the fastest that you could make first sergeant today, if you did everything 110% correct and you were a literal prodigy, would be 9 years, and Leonard Lomell just did it in like 1. So because he was such a hot shot, he gets offered by his chain of command to go out to this high-speed school known as Ranger and Combat School, which is a precursor to what we know today as the Army Rangers. If you don't know, the 75th Ranger Regiment today is a Special Forces unit, and the easiest way
I don't know what sleepers are. Sorry.
I can explain this to you is they're essentially America's sharpest blunt instrument, okay? They're America's premier shock troops. They basically just took the top 1% of all the grunts, stuck them in one unit, and then they send them out to destroy things on impossible missions. And that's basically how they pitch it to Lomell. This is a school that you can go to, become a better leader, a better soldier, and then also they're going to be picking some of the best guys out of it to go into this new Special Forces unit called the Army Rangers that are going to get sent out on the toughest, most dangerous missions. And obviously he agrees to do it because it's going to make him look that much better come time for his next promotion. So he...
Oh my god. You can't even properly coordinate your earrings Anne? I cannot believe it. Hey everybody, she doesn't properly... Coherent sentences, yes. You know, it's worse because I planned out everything I was going to say and I still fell down the stairs of my own conversation. Haha, pro streamer, right? Right? Oh god, sorry. But yeah, nobody cares. It's fine. You do you, Queen. Oh god, that sounds creepy. I'm sorry about that. Person, I don't know how to tell you this, but your username, and how I refer to you as person, is also how I sometimes refer to other people, because we're all people. I'm sorry. No, there's only one person ever, and it's just, you know, the one person following me. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We've also established that person is a figment of my imagination. Yeah, totally. Exactly. But let's continue.
He goes out to this ranger course. There's 200 recruits. They strip them down. They take their rank off. All they have is this matching jumpsuit, and they beat the holy hell out of these guys for weeks. They barely feed them. They barely give them water. They're making them do hand-to-hand combat training all day long. They're doing ruck marches. They're doing physical training. It is an absolute nightmare.
This is nothing like the recruiting brochure.
By the time that training's over, that...
Yeah, also, if you look at the things that was sort of expected of you back then, it's sort of crazy, because it's just like, I've seen Olympians, like modern day Olympians, with a seemingly easier, or people trying to get to the Olympics, having an easier workout than some of these people have. Your neck is necking. Are you okay? No way. Well, that's good to hear. Just try taking it easy. Isn't necking also an adjective? Sorry. Necking. Her neck is necky. Sorry. Oh, bare neck, no! No! How could you be so indecent? Nah.
class of 200 high-speed soldiers has been whittled down to 60, and Leonard Lomell is one of them. Not only is he one of the 60 that made it, he is one of the very best, and he is personally asked by the general in charge if he wants to become an Army Ranger, because they are standing up the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and they are looking for new recruits. And to the general's shock, Lomell actually tells him he'd have to think about it. This kind of catches the general off guard, right? I mean, this is a big deal. He just went through Ranger school. Surely he wants to be a Ranger. Why wouldn't this guy say...
So what were you doing in primary school, person? Also, for people who are watching, like, this is very impressive, but at the same time, I've heard a lot of, almost all the people he covers seem to be, like, have similar situations. I mean, it's sort of crazy, but when you hear enough about, like, all of the legendary, like, you know, or very important figures of World War II who were not, like, you know, generals or admirals, were all just like, and they did all this, and they worked real hard, and they came from a poor situation, and they had the can-do American spirit. What? Say what intimidating? I just said, what are you doing? What, like, you're getting, you said, God damn it, I'm getting flashbacks from primary. And so I was just like, what did you do exactly in primary school? I hope it didn't sound like, oh, what did you do in primary school? Oh, yes. Show me. Maybe show me some picture. Oh, God. God. If I get bigger in popularity, a few years from now, people are going to take that clip out of context and just say, like, oh my God, creep streamer, generic fool's test. I'm just not even going to continue on with that. Sorry. No. You don't know why you're cringing? Well, of course they're cringing. What I said, it was horrible and not funny, and it was very cringy. This wasn't some mystery thing. It's like you stubbed your toe, and it's like, why does my toe hurt? There's a very clear reason. I am the cringe. You almost spent your sink. Wow, that's wow, that's impressive.
say yes immediately, so he kind of pushes him on it, and Lomell tells him, like, hey, look,
Oh, yes. Sheesh, whoosh, shoosh. Yeah. It's okay, Anne. You're just so fun to poke fun at.
love to do it, but here's the deal. At the end of the day, I'm here for whoever's going to pay me the most money. If I go back to my old unit, I'm going to be a first sergeant. I don't want to come into the Ranger unit and have to take a pay cut and be like, you know, a corporal or just a regular sergeant or something. So, you know, unless you guys are going to make me a first sergeant and a Ranger first sergeant pays more than a first sergeant back in my normal infantry division, I'm going to have to think about it. At which point the general's like, cool, you're a first sergeant in the Rangers and you'll get paid more than them. At which point Lomell is like, dope, I'm in. And just like that, Leonard Lomell is now the very first sergeant of...
Okay, for those who just came in, the reason why he's basically seemingly caring so much about money is he's trying to... what? I'm not talking about furries, person, stop projecting. I'm not talking about furries. But, yeah. Why of all times did I stop here on this frame? I am sorry. This is such a terrible place to stop on. Oh my god. No, but I have a shocking amount of friends who are furries. But either way, the reason why he cares so much about money is because he's trying to pay for or send money back to his parents who are poor, because, you know, he cares about supporting his family. I'm just bringing it up because somebody came in recently and I just want to make sure they're filled out. I'm sorry, I can't stand this face. Oh god.
Dog company of the 2nd Ranger Battalion. So Lomell goes, he gets all his boys from Dog Company, they start training right away. And you gotta remember, they're standing up the 2nd Ranger Battalion at this point, okay?
Also, I found out something recently. It reminded me because it was called Dog Company. Have any of you ever heard the song Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men? I think it was like, I forgot their name. They're a one-hit wonder group, basically. That they did a song like, who let the dogs out? It's funny. It was in a Rugrats movie, which is a movie about babies. Either way, it's just a thing that happened with the times. But either way, I found out that the dogs in that are not well. I mean, I figured that they weren't actually dogs, but it turns out somebody explained it to me, and I don't know if this is true. This is what they said. That apparently the dogs in there are like the ugly club women, which is just like, oh my god, that's terrible. Hello, foil hats. Well, yeah, but you know, there are some people who are just like, hey, how could you just say that? Like, you know, don't you want have patriotism or things like that? It's like, you can be patriotic and want to be paid better. Well, one of them is a guy who's just like, he says, I'm not a furry, but he's an artist, and he's primarily producing a ton of furry art, and his primary people who buy art from him are furries, which he's just like, I don't like this, but the money's so good. But yeah. I mean, when it comes to certain hobbies and things that my friends do, I tend to also just not ask. So that one friend, Also, you know, it's kind of suspect when he's saying, I'm not a furry, and then you can go into his Steam library and see that he has a lot of games in them which are, well, not completely like furry stuff, but they often have furry elements in them. I don't want to show you that because I don't want to out him. But yeah. But yeah. Well, yes. Though in this guy's case, he wants to send the money home to support his parents. Maybe it is inspiration. But I don't think he would have as many achievements in those games if he was truly just, you know. Oh yeah. Well, either way. It's only like basically 10 minutes in, and I'm 40 minutes into this stream. God damn it. Also, how are you, I Sell Foil Hats? I hope you're doing well. Okay, glad to hear. Yeah, when there's people who will just like, I want to just play a game of D&D. Well, you know, the other person is just like, I want to live out my fetishes. And it's just like your character goes into a bar, and then the person's just like Silver Shadow Fox comes up to you and gently nuzzles her nose, her snout across your legs, and goes, "Ooh, ooh, do you want to play with?" Okay, no, couldn't have the courage, couldn't handle it. Nope. Fuck. Okay, no, that didn't happen. I refuse to acknowledge it, and I'm just going to continue the video.
Okay, it is a complete
We will
and
note
utter shit show. When you're
furries
standing
don't
up
exist. I will not
it's not
talk about
just
them
like
for
you
the
throw
stream.
a bunch of guys together, and you're like, hey, you're on a team now. No, a unit has its own culture. It has its own standard operating procedures. They have to build all of that from the ground up, and Leonard Lomell and his guys in Dog Company are there for every single second of it. And right out of the gate, it's rough. The Army's having a very tough time finding the right officers to lead this unique unit into battle, right? They're constantly rotating out battalion and company commanders, trying to find the right guys. And then they finally end up finding the right man to lead the 2nd Battalion, a lieutenant colonel by the name of...
You missed your chance. Now you can't clip it. What do you mean go back when I finish the stream and possibly find it? Nobody can possibly have that much interest in this. Oh well.
Big Jim Rudder. On his very first day, he calls the entire battalion in and gives his, introductory speech on his mission and what he's trying to accomplish with the unit. And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically what he says is, look, here's the deal. I'm going to train the holy hell out of you guys. I need you to do everything I ask you to do at 110%. And in exchange, I'm going to do absolutely everything I can for you. I'm going to have your back. I'm going to be your guy, and I'm going to get you as much leave as I possibly can. If you give me everything you got, I'm going to give you everything I can in exchange. And that is just the beginning of the leadership clinic that Jim Rudder is about to put on. He starts having monthly gripe sessions for the entire battalion to air out their grievances and what they see wrong with the battalion and everything going wrong around them. And he's willing to listen to every single man under his command, even the lowest ranking private. One of the first things...
Oh, no, I slammed the table because for me, I couldn't handle how cringy the thing I said was. So in response, I just sort of was I basically smacked my head with my hand, and I slammed my fist on the table. Which, that's what that banging sound was, and why I was leaning over. Why have you forsaken me? In my eyes, forsaken me. No! Damn it. And why did you clip that? No. God damn it. Okay, well, I guess, this is a reaction video, so we'll watch my cringe. Goes into a bar, and then the person's just like silver shadow fox comes up to you and gently nuzzles her nose, her snout across your legs, and goes, "Ooh, ooh, do you want me to play? Do you want to play with?" Okay, no, couldn't have the courage to handle it. Okay, no. Nope. Fuck. Okay, no, that didn't happen. I refuse to acknowledge it, and I'm just going to continue the video. Why did I watch that? What am I doing? There are two people who came, at least one person who came in since that happened and missed all that. They could have gone through and gone, "Oh, this guy's okay." But no, I parade my cringe in front of everyone else to watch, like some person without any sort of standards. I do have standards. I just have ADHD and autism, so my brain doesn't really, and also Asperger's. So my brain go, "Hell, hey, this will be funny." And then I say the thing, and then I'm like, oh God. I think I'm making a progress of like a minute per 10 minutes in this video. This is not great. I prefer regular women, or, I guess, well, whatever. I was going to say something, but then I would bring up a discussion, and we don't. This is supposed to be a discussion on this video, not the what dictates a furry, or the levels of. And then there's the question of, are you a furry? Are you a scaly? Are you? I forgot the other terms, but the only reason I know that stuff is because I've had friends who are way into that type of thing. Yeah, this is supposed to be a reaction, but instead it's my chat is bullying the other person left. My chat's bullying me over things I'm doing. Sorry.
The Rangers complained about was that the food wasn't very good. So Jim Rutter had the cooks sent back to cook school to relearn how to do their job. Then they came back a couple weeks later, and the Rangers still said the food wasn't good enough. So Jim Rutter sent them back to school again.
We'll have the spaghetti with a side salad.
Okay.
If the salad is on top, I send it back.
On another occasion, a private at one of these gripe sessions has the balls to stand up in front of the entire battalion and say, "Sir, when I volunteered for the Rangers, I was told that every Ranger would receive a pocket watch."
Okay. Since people in my chat are asking, furries are when you're into anthropomorphized furry creatures, like mammals. So, like the dog people, wolf people, things like that. Scalies are, people or things which have scales. So, or more specifically, like lizard, reptile, maybe amphibian, and also mythical things like dragons. Yeah, I am in pain because I am having this discussion. It's a great way to start my day, oh boy. But I don't. And then there's that thing going on in Russia currently, where it's not quite the furry movement, but it's basically an exercise thing, where kids wear masks and maybe a tail, and then they run around they move around like animals. It's apparently a big thing in Russia. Originally the government didn't care, but then somebody else pointed out that this is going against our traditionalist values, and commenting on a bunch of stuff. So basically the conservative government had to step in, because somebody pointed out how it goes against their... Yes! Yes! That's it. You actually know about it. The quadrobers. It's okay. I constantly end up accidentally clicking caps lock when sending messages to like Anne or a person, where it's just like, oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Or like, hey, thank you for sending me that thing, and I actually kept caps lock. I'm glad you liked it. And it's just like, Adam, calm down. Jesus. But yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, also, there are some who, like with any movement, a lot of people just see it as fun, and then there are people or kids that take it weirdly and basically try to act feral and have bitten people. But, you know, just... Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's just continue watching this.
Now, to us today, this seems kind of silly or petty, but you have to put this into context, right? Back in the 1940s, watches were very much considered a luxury item because they didn't have little tiny cheap digital watches that you could buy for $15 and know what time it was. The only watches around at this time were mechanical watches and more commonly automatic watches, which are the ones that are self-winding with all the little tiny gears and springs on the inside. They're very hard to manufacture with these tiny little itty-bitty pieces. Due to the difficulty of manufacturing and the fact that the Army is growing exponentially, they simply can't manufacture watches fast enough to be able to give every person in the military a watch, despite the fact that the Army does have a standard issued watch, the A11. Yeah. So at this point in time, not everybody's getting a watch. They're reserving them for the people that need them the most. People like pilots, people in leadership positions. They're definitely not giving them out to every lowly private that's just there to take orders. But this isn't just a lowly private. This is a private in the 2nd Ranger Battalion, and he was promised a watch to be a Ranger. And because of that, Jim Rudder takes off his personal watch in front of everybody and gives it to the private. So obviously Jim Rudder is an incredible leader, but more importantly than that, he's also a visionary that has all kinds of crazy training that he's going to have these Rangers do. And one of the most important things that he actually does is he...
For people who don't know, I sell foil hats. If I remember correctly, can speak at least 4 languages fluently, which is, as you can tell, very, very impressive.
Goes and he gets his hands on all of the German firearms, right? He gets MG42s, he gets burp guns, he gets all the German weapons, and he trains his entire range.
I forgot the name, but there was one German weapon that was really rare. I'm not talking about the Sturmgewehr. It was a paratrooper weapon, which, God, I forgot its name. But yeah, it was very rare, and it was, I think, over... Well, whatever, we're not talking about that, sorry.
Battalion on how to disassemble, reassemble, clean, and fire all of the German weapons, because he knows that they're going to send him into a mission, and they're going to run out of ammo, and they might have to start picking up guns off of all the dead Germans.
For some cases, reading the language is more difficult than speaking it, like French. Or at least from what I've heard. I've never learned to read French. I've only learned... I used to know how to speak a bit of it. What's that mean? It means I can pronounce a few things correctly. Like Americans, it's not endive, it's endive. Okay, pretension has ended. Continue with the video.
Germans that they've killed. So he wants every single man in the Ranger Battalion to be able to use those weapons. In addition to that, they also do a bunch of chemical warfare training in case the Germans want to break out the mustard gas like they did last time. And then after that, they mostly focus on climbing.
Fun fact, the reason why the soldiers of Germany in World War II didn't use as much like gas or like during attacks is because, now it's sort of ironic, there were some famous German scientists who specialized in making and producing certain chemicals that would have been useful in chemical warfare, who were patriotic enough to stay behind in Germany even after everything went the way it was. But there were 2 things that got in the way of them really being useful. One, they were Jewish, and as you know, the bad Austrian mustache model and his cronies aren't exactly fans of that. And the other thing is, during the First World War, the bad Austrian mustache model survived a poison gas attack, if I remember correctly. And because of that, he had a disdain for it. So they didn't use it often, from what I remember, if I remember correctly. I mean, on soldiers. I mean, in terms of prisoners and Jewish people, then yes. My people went through a lot.
And the way they go about that is they end up shipping over to Great Britain, and the entire battalion is staying inside of this hotel.
By the way, did
that's on
Ann
a
leave?
cliff
Because it says I only have 3
okay?
viewers.
And they get there,
And
they
one
have
of them
the
is myself,
battalion
one of
meeting,
them
they
is
explain that we're doing
Pat's.
climbing training,
Full
and then
ass.
Jim Rutter walks all the guys. There's like this
One of them is person.
carved-in staircase that goes down this 80-foot cliff that goes down to the ocean. He's like,
I didn't
"These are the
see
cliffs that
her
we're gonna be
say she was
climbing."
leaving.
Also, this is the only time
Oh,
we're
it said
using
bye.
that staircase, and everybody is kind of looking around like, "What? How are we going to get down here if we're not using the stairs?" Every single morning to get to training, the Rangers have to go up to the 3rd story of the hotel, tie a rope to the radiator, throw it out the window, rappel down the side of the hotel, run across the yard, scale the chain link fence where the cliff is so nobody falls off, and then rappel down the 80-foot cliff just to get to the beach.
Well, yes. But I don't want to go into the specifics of that at the moment. Maybe if there's a video that covers it, maybe. But I love talking to you, I sell foil hats, but at the same time, I'm also looking at how I've almost been streaming for an hour, and we're basically 15 minutes in. This is bad. Bad. Yeah. There's not many Jews left, by comparison. There's regular Jewish people. Why is it that I keep stopping on him what the hell is this face? Oh my god, I keep stopping on the most ridiculous faces for him. But yeah, by Jewish law, I am Jewish. But I'm not really. I don't really practice. I don't stick to kosher. But yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, what you say is often interesting. Yeah. That's a lot of teeth for a smoochy face. But yeah, it's just like a lot of what you say is interesting or something I feel like I want to talk about. Also, I have to be engaged in some extent. It's not good if I don't say anything during the reaction, but if I say too much, then it's... Sorry, I'm moving on.
To get to training on how to climb. And once they're down there, they do all different types of climbing. They're climbing with grappling hooks and ropes. They're climbing with nets. They're free climbing. Any and every technique they have available, they're getting super good at. And around this time...
I'm not 100% sure of that, because while regular Jews are in decline, the Orthodox are kind of reproducing like rabbits. I have family I have both family and family friends in Israel. And the Orthodox are, according to one of them, coming up with these weird rules for themselves. Like, a true Jewish person should never leave the Holy Land, which, that's not true at all. And there is the regular Orthodox where they'll try to have like around 4 or more kids. And then, if I remember correctly, there's the ultra Orthodox who may try to have like 6 or more kids. And it's because of that why Netanyahu is basically in power. Because of, I haven't been following this stuff. I don't know. I know there's a lot of, or there was a lot of, like, you know, originally, people who were not ultra religious Jews because, well, although we have a tendency for being, or like a stereotype for, you know, yeah, but the difference is that in Israel, because the regular Jews are oftentimes, you know, having the same problems most people are. They want less kids. They're more busy. They're having a bunch of other stuff, and you know, they're just not having a deal. Yeah. Also, not all Orthodox people, Orthodox Jews are crazy, but some of them are. It's kind of funny in a religion where basically one of the primary points of it is the idea of wrestling with God, which doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to go like, "Hey, God, come down here and we'll fight you." Like, you know, Logan Paul or KSI would scream at somebody who disagrees with them. The idea is to always ask questions, to always try and, you know, see things from our point of view. In the Jewish texts, Lucifer, or, you know, was not an evil angel. His role was to basically act as to voice the side of the opposition, to give an outside perspective. So whenever you would say something, or be on one side, or if God was on one side, Lucifer's job given to him by God was to tell him things from the outside perspective, so that way he would not be blind to other things. Of course, you know, when Christianity came around, they're just like, no, you can't question God. That's heresy. Satan he's Satan, and he's a fallen angel, and he's evil. And it's just like, yeah. Also, if I remember correctly, I never went to Hebrew school, so, you know, I didn't really learn much about my religion, or my family's religion. But if I remember correctly, there isn't a heaven or hell. We all sort of go to the same place after death. And, you know, when your belief is, you don't have a belief in real heaven, like, or basically the consequences, if you're a good person because you're not afraid of going to hell, then I feel like that's far more impressive than just because you're being afraid of eternal damnation. In all honesty, in terms of depictions of hell, I prefer the Muslim hell, which is, in Islam, God is a loving God, but he is also wrathful. If you've sinned and been a bad person in life, you will go to hell when you die, but it'll basically be equivalent like a prison. You will serve your time until you have made up for, you know, the crimes and things you committed in life, and after that, God will accept you again in his loving embrace. Which, in my opinion, is far better than, oh my God, you diddled yourself one, eternal damnation, never again. You have turned your back on the light of God. That end, it's also kind of funny because Christianity is a lot of Christian beliefs in the holidays are just pagan holidays that they just change stuff. Christianity is basically like the bad fan fiction writers, where they just keep stealing other people's ideas and saying it's their own. which, you know, is just sort of funny in that regard. But I'll stop there. No.
Time in training, one of the sergeants for Dog Company accidentally drops an entire ammo bag on the men down below him, and somebody ends up getting injured. The company commander ends up ordering Lomell to bust this guy down from sergeant to private, which is a big deal, getting demoted from NCO all the way back down to private. It's a big pay cut. It sucks. Lomell doesn't want to do it. It was an accident, but he's ordered to do it by the company commander, so he has to go ahead and he does it. And this sergeant, now private, doesn't take it very well, and he says something along the lines of, you know what, that's fine, first sergeant. Once the battle starts, first sergeants always get what's coming to them, and I'll see you in battle. Kind of like this veiled threat, and Lomell's like, okay, whatever. Sorry, you're upset. Anyways, moving on. They get back to training, and they're climbing more. And while they continue their climbing training, they find out that not only are they going to be partaking in D-Day, but they are going to be given the most dangerous and most important mission of the entire D-Day assault.
Oh,
Over
yeah,
the
I
American
know
Navy
this.
sites of Omaha and Utah Beach for D-Day, there is a point known as Point du Hoc, and on top of it is 6 German 155mm artillery pieces. If these artillery pieces are allowed to remain functional during the land,
If you don't question authority, then they can end up running headlong into a ditch. You always need an outside perspective. You always need to see the side of the people who are against you. Even if you don't like it or agree with them, knowing and understanding their perspective or their way of things is the best way to proceed. Even if you don't change your plans after knowing what the other side's view is, it's still a good idea to not blind yourself to alternatives or blind yourself to how other people may interpret things. There are so many times in history and just various other things where somebody was doing something for a good cause or for a good reason, but because they didn't understand how others would interpret their actions, they went through and were then surprised when everyone didn't realize how noble and selfless they were actually being and thought they were being selfish. That's why whenever I watch a lot of, modern, like, isekai or overpowered protagonist anime, and they just say, I'm going to do this one thing. And then I'm like, oh my god, people wouldn't actually do that in response to it. It's just kind of like people would not respond positively to that, and that goes against human nature.
it will lead to the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans and potentially the sinking of Navy vessels because it overlooks the surrounding ocean as well. The problem is the only way to get up there to destroy that artillery is to climb a 110-foot cliff face while the Germans are shooting at you. This is deemed absolutely impossible by military.
Well, yeah, but that's also because they have a sort of dictatorship. Yeah. And they're authoritarian. Any questioning of their actions or what they do lowers their power. J-Dams. Oops, sorry. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to finish this video. But also, you can see through all the problems the Russians had and are having. It's because nobody wants to be honest with the leader, with the great leader, about how bad things are going. Everything is ultra corrupt because they don't want competent people in high parts of, or in higher leadership, since they could potentially overthrow Putin. And they don't want a military hero to step forward and challenge their authority. So they focus more on people who are loyal to the party rather than competency. Also, they constantly, well, yeah, they do. They have. But I'm more talking about modern. I don't want to go into full Russian history. Yeah, and also a lot of people would rather not rock the boat. Or they believe that, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm just not voting. And I'm not voting in protest It's just like that's as you've said in the previous stream, the famous saying, which is, if it does, like, it just takes good people not doing. My wording is shit. Like, well, I don't know. I heard after the wall went down, or like after the collapse for a bit, things got slightly better. Like, there was a point in time where Putin wasn't horrible. However, things that time is long past, and it wasn't around for all that long. But either way.
Military intelligence. One of the military intelligence reports literally says, and I quote, 3 old women with brooms could repel a landing force at Point du Hoc. General Bradley, in his memoir, recalls this order as the most difficult thing he's ever asked of anyone in his 40-year-long career. Because of this, they give the Rangers anything and everything they think they might need to be successful, and they're allowed to come up with whatever plan they think is going to work, because at this point, they're basically the climbing experts in the U.S. military. They get them aerial footage so they know the terrain. They build them 3D models so every single Ranger in the 2nd Ranger Battalion can remember every little tiny aspect of Point du Hoc. So the plan is they're going to show up to Point du Hoc and try to disable this artillery prior to the first wave of D-Day, because remember, that's the entire point. They have to get this artillery disabled before everybody else starts landing on the beach, right? So not only are they being given this difficult task of climbing a 100-foot cliff under enemy gunfire, nobody else is there, so they get the Germans' undivided attention the entire time. So the obvious question, how on earth are you actually going to...
Well, yeah. Because if you try to not vote in protest, that just tells the politicians that, oh, you're not going to go against our wishes and we can do what we want. And it's not going to affect you. So that's why not voting due to protest is a dumb decision. It's basically just like, hey, let's get dictators in charge. Because you know they won't care. Yeah, but trying to explain it to the people who vehemently believe in their own view is difficult. It's like, no, that's not what happens. I don't know, just, yeah, some people really anger me. But yeah, and there are going to be complications in this thing, because I remember what happened in Point du Hoc. But
to do this and have any amount of success. Hear me out. We're going to take all of the landing ships and we're going to mount gigantic grappling hooks onto rocket launchers, and we're just going to beach the ships and fire rocket-propelled grappling hooks up over the cliff and start climbing as fast as humanly possible. And then as soon as some of the guys start making it to the top of the cliff and getting in a firefight with the Germans, and the Germans have their hands occupied with that, we're going to bring in another landing ship that's got a fire truck ladder on it that can reach to the top of this cliff. We're going to beach that and then use the fire truck ladder to funnel more guys up the cliff even faster. And at the top of that fire truck ladder is going to be a guy with 3 Vickers machine guns.
But it doesn't matter about proof, it's a feeling. It's just like people who keep saying real communism has never been tried. Like, it doesn't matter all the previous, I'm like, well, that's not true communism, and or that's not how it really will work. If I could do it, if me and my friends had the chance to do it, like, then they would be different. And it's just like, well, when you try to tell those people, well, what's currently going through in America or like in Europe isn't real isn't real capitalism. But they love their voice so much, and they believe not hearing their opinions is doing a disservice to the world.
So he's just going to pop up from over this cliff edge with 3 machine guns and start mowing down Germans. It's the craziest fucking plan I've ever heard in my life.
So what do you need? Besides a miracle. Guns. Lots of guns.
On a ladder.
No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
You remember a couple of minutes ago when I said the Rangers are the U.S. military's sharpest blunt instrument? This is exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Their strategy is to run face first into the German defenses and just be so fast and so overtly aggressive that they win anyways. I mean, could you imagine being a German soldier, seeing a bunch of American ships roll up, and they're like, oh, hey, the Americans are here, and suddenly gigantic fucking grappling hooks strapped to rockets start landing 100 feet up this cliff next to you. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And then as soon as you're able to get your shoes on and grab your gun and go do something about it, a fucking fire truck ladder pops up from over the side of this cliff with a dude with 3 fucking machine guns. He's only got 2 arms. What does he need 3 machine guns for? This is the most American shit I've ever heard of in my entire life. I mean, we've all heard the expression, it's faster to switch to your sidearm than it is to reload, but we've never heard the expression, it's faster to switch to your tertiary machine gun than it is to reload your first 2 machine guns. So that's really the entire game plan, just straight up brute force and ignorance. Hit the enemy so hard, so fast that the fight is over before they even know they're in a fight. All right, D-Day, this is the part where I wish I could tell you that they rolled up, everything went according to plan, and it was quick, violent, and over. We win, hooray. But that's not what happened because it was a shit show the entire time. Here's what's going on. It's supposed to be about an hour and 20-minute boat ride in a British LCA. Think of it as like a bigger version of an American Higgins boat, and we've got the British Navy piloting these ships. And while that's going on, we've decided we're not just going to use the element of surprise. Instead, we're going to pound Point du Hoc with aerial bombardment and naval bombardment from the USS Texas and the USS Arkansas, and then we're going to stop bombarding it right as the Rangers roll up. That way, by the time they get the courage to poke their heads out, the Rangers have already scaled the cliff. That's the plan that we're going with. And the first problem is half the Rangers have food poisoning. Last night for dinner, they gave these guys hot dogs, and one of the batches of hot dogs was tainted, and now about half the Rangers are puking inside of the LCAs.
Oh no, taken out by a spicy sausage. Ah. Well, yeah.
And on top of that, the seas are rougher than they anticipated, which is making it even worse. It's so bad that water is getting inside the ships, and Leonard Lomell literally has to order all the men in his LCA to start using...
Oh, but you mean taking a spicy sausage in your mouth is the best way to go? Oh my person, what a thing to say.
Their helmets as...
Was it a hot Italian?
A shovel to start bucketing water out of the boat so it doesn't sink. This is supposed to be about an hour and 20-minute boat ride to get from the big ships all the way to the beach, and they're just sitting there going up and down in the seas. Dudes are sick, they're puking, they're looking over at Point du Hoc, and it is just getting pounded by the British RAF dropping bombs and American naval gunfire hitting this point over and over and over again. It's so loud these guys can't even hear themselves think. One of them actually leans over to Leonard Lomell and screams at the top of his lungs just so Leonard could hear, I wonder if they know we're coming. As they get closer and closer to the shore, both Lieutenant Colonel Rudder and Lomell realize that the British coxswains that are driving these boats are taking them to the wrong drop.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but the problem is that people like that are being constantly given positions in power because they, you know, keep talking a ton. And the nightmare situation we find ourselves in regards to some of those things is that the people who should be helping decide stuff like that are being quiet because they understand and are self-aware enough that, you know, they might not be capable of properly talking about a subject, but the ones who don't know what the fuck they're talking about and are doing more damage to their cause than any kind of help are the ones who are being put into power. Like, have you heard all the stuff, like, just slightly different thing, but have you heard, yeah, like, not even Ubisoft, like, you know, with the recent, like, Dragon Age, like, just all of the things that they've done. Apparently, most of the bad guys in the game are all white men, privileged white men. And you cannot make your male character white in this game. They're like, oh, he allows so much freedom and so much thing, you're not allowed to be white. and they assume by default that you are going to be a woman or identify as a woman in conversations or in the default conversations. Yeah, that, and you know, they are. Furthermore, they don't allow you to be an evil character. They don't allow you to do anything rough. Like, if you played Mass Effect and were a fan of the Renegade play style, you're not able to do it. Like, I don't know. With some of the things that they do, I feel like... Yeah, and also you can add a beard, but... You know... Oh, yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, and even then, like, the total the appearance and the style that things are in looks worse than some of the older, like, you know, Dragon Age games. And then they're saying something very misleading. They basically claim that the new Dragon Age has reached higher sales than any Dragon Age game released on, you know, or well, like than the previous Dragon Ages when they were released on Steam, or for one of them specifically, I forgot which one. But the one that they mentioned was not released when it first came out on Steam. It was released months later. And so most of the people who wanted to play that game had already played the hell out of it on PlayStation, Xbox, or things like that. But, you know, it's just... You can't expect those people to write a competent story. That and the person who was supposed to be the big bad ended up getting put in timeout for the entire game. It's like the reason why this whole stuff is happening is because of one guy from the previous games, but we put him in timeout, and because we're worried about annoying the people who fell in love with him in the other games, we're trying to make it look like he's not bad, or not that bad. I'm mostly worried about Mass Effect, since I love the Mass Effect series. Or I love them. 3 has some good parts, but I've learned some parts about 3 which kind of annoy me after learning about it. Like, they blatantly change characters in Mass Effect 3. No. The other way, like, I should probably talk about that in its own dedicated stream, or do a just chatting stream, so that way I can, you know, focus on this. Man, whenever I feel like doing a just chatting stream, or in the past when I've tried, I always tend to, you know, do it at a time when no one else is available. Yeah. But yeah.
Up off point. It takes a while, but they argue with the British. They're telling them they're going to the wrong spot. The British don't think they are. The Rangers are like, trust me, we've memorized every square inch of this beach. We know exactly where we're supposed to be. You need to take us over there. So they change course, but they're wasting time, right? Because they're bombarding Point du Hoc, and they need to be able to land and start climbing that cliff
suck.
the second those bombs.
As I said, there's a difference between the people who are actually trying to implement diversity in a way in which it's organic and good, and then there's the woke crowd, or as I like to refer to them as the better than you crew, because they think they're better than you, even though they are basically just acting like the alt-right.
bombs and naval gunfire stop. As they begin making their way to the right drop-off point, the seas are so rough that some of these boats are getting so much water in them that 2 of them actually end up sinking, and the other boats have to make the hard decision to just keep pushing forward because they don't have time to stop and save these guys. Another Navy ship's gonna have to come in after them and pick them up later. And just like that, before they even hit the beach, they are already going from 225 Rangers down to 180. By the time they reach the beach at Point du Hoc, they are 40 minutes behind schedule, meaning that the bombardment has ended 40 minutes ago, and the Nazis have had about 30 minutes to regroup and get ready for this attack.
I mean, my best example of these woke people is they're like the people who do fake, like charity or fake community, like helping the community. Like they're the equivalent of the women who go to beaches to film them picking up trash and then they leave the trash behind after they finished filming. Or, you know, the people who do the environmental protests and then they leave a ton of trash and, like, you know, just litter everywhere after they're done protesting. Because they don't give a shit about what they're actually covering. They're just trying to be acting like, oh, look how much better than you I am. And it's just like, it takes a long time to change the opinions of the masses. And I know because when I was younger, people who were different weren't seen very well. But, you know, when I became a young adult, like, things got much better. Like, they could actually get married. They could, you know, just... Yeah, that's what they are. And then it's just like I don't want to talk about this. Or if I'm going to do it, let's do it in a dedicated video, not one I'm supposed to be talking about or reacting to this.
That they know is coming.
Like,
this is already catastrophic to the success of this mission, but there's nothing they can do but keep pushing forward because they can't do it a different day. There's 156,000 other men that are about to hit the beaches.
It doesn't surprise me. Did you know a lot of the people who work at Sweet Baby have also used the N-word or have said anti-Semitic or other things like that? There have been a number of times where they've gone back in their messages and seen them either saying racist, sexist, or other kinds of comments. And, you know, it's just like these people are often accusing people of doing things that they themselves do. And in most cases, they're too stupid to make sure that they clear their messages. Or they only clear their messages because people are, like, openly saying, we're looking through your messages to see if you've done anything bad. Like, privating all my messages, deleting all of them. Yeah.
And if they don't take out these guns...
And it's just like... No, I said stop.
They are going to get bombarded with 155mm artillery fire. And to make things worse, because the Rangers are 40 minutes behind schedule, it means they've got about 20 minutes to scale a 110-foot cliff under enemy gunfire, get up there, fight the enemy, and destroy the artillery before everybody else starts landing on the beach.
Oh, man.
Let's go to work.
Lomell's boat is one of the first ones to beach itself. They drop the door. He goes running out first. He's going to lead his men into combat. He's supposed to be in about ankle-deep water. He takes one step and sinks. He's completely consumed by the water. In hindsight, he thinks that one of the bombs from the RAF missed its target, created a crater right where the water line is. It filled with water, and that's what he was sucked into. But his men end up pulling him out, and as soon as his men get him pulled out, he gets shot in the back. And Lomell, having been shot and almost drowned in the matter of a couple of seconds, doesn't really know what happened, so he turns around thinking that he'd been shot, and the first person that he sees is that private that had threatened him. I'll see you in combat, First Sergeant. His brain immediately thinks, this motherfucker just shot me. So he goes and grabs this kid, and the medic and all the other men have to pull Lomell off of him. We're like, no, he didn't shoot you. He didn't shoot you. It was the enemy. So Lomell turns and runs into combat. His men go running after him, and Lomell and the rest of Dog Company manage to scale the 110-foot cliff under enemy gunfire in under 10 minutes. Okay, just for the record, I can't get my wife and kids in the car in under 10 minutes, and these guys got 30 men with guns and 50-pound backpacks up a 110-foot vertical cliff under enemy gunfire in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Though to be fair, the decline of BioWare really started kind of during Mass Effect 2, because that's when the EA buyout came. And then, you know, it's just that Mass Effect 2 had a number of things in it that were it was too late in the process for EA to fuck up. 3 and Andromeda, though, were also just a sign of things to come. And then just... Its company is basically just a shell. No. Yeah. Right. This is just depressing.
That's crazy. Lomell's Dog Company and Easy Company are the first ones up the cliff, and the minute they get up there, they are immediately disoriented, and all their plans go right out the window. Remember, they studied the terrain. They know what it's supposed to look like up there, and it does not look like that now. The Allied forces have bombarded Point du Hoc with 380 tons of ordnance, okay? What they're looking at now resembles the surface of the moon. There's no time to make a new plan. The clock is ticking, and they have to destroy these guns, okay? Given a lack of instruction, you have to resort to destruction. All of the Rangers proceed to dive into one of these massive craters from a bomb. They said these craters were so big that they could easily fit 15 to 20 men. Half the men in the crater pop up and start returning fire to the Germans, giving cover for the other half of the men to jump to the next nearest crater. Then they begin returning fire so that the other half can catch up to them, and they begin using bounding or leapfrogging to go all the way to where one of these guns are. They can see the massive gun barrel stick.
1 second. I'll check that out. I'm going to, yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll remember to do that after this, so, let's see. I could just copy that. Going to need to check that out. But yeah, sorry. I just really care about massive, like the original Mass Effect.
And they hop down in the artillery emplacement. It's not a gun. It's a fucking telephone pole that's propped up to look like a gun barrel. Immediately, Lomell is like, what the fuck is going on? But we can't wait. We have to keep going. There's potentially 5 more guns, and we need to take them out too. So they begin bounding again to the next gun.
Also, just because I keep pausing and stopping, I'll just let people know. They're at the point of where they got up the cliff, they were trying to destroy the guns, and they found out that the gun was not a gun, it was a decoy. So that the real gun got moved.
It's a telephone pole. The next gun, it's a telephone pole. Soon, they've been to all 6 artillery emplacements, and all of them are telephone poles. The guns aren't even here. Lomell is furious. He's got steam coming out of his ears. Was all this for nothing? Were the guns ever here? Was this just a clever ploy by the Germans and the U.S. military intelligence fell for it? Did he just risk his life and all the lives of his men for literally no reason at all? And as Lomell's trying to figure out what to do next, there's this underground fortress that they didn't even tell him was there. They just found it. So Easy Company ends up going in. They're going to clear out the fortress while the rest of Dog Company goes and tries to find these guns. And if they can't find the guns, they're going to go to the road back behind Point du Hoc and try to hold it to prevent German reinforcements from going to Omaha and Utah Beach. So Easy and Dog Company split up. Dog Company heads out to go defend this road, and as they're making their way there, Lomell notices a set of ruts in one of the roads, like something really heavy drove through when the ground was wet. He wants to go investigate, but also he can't. He's literally accomplished nothing so far, and he has to go defend this road and prevent reinforcements. He has to do something to help the guys out on the beach. So what he decides to do is he's going to send the rest of his company to go defend that road. They all know what they're doing. He grabs his best buddy, Jack Kuhn, and him and Jack are going to go investigate these ruts real quick. It's probably nothing, but he has to know. So Lomell and Jack take off running, following these ruts, and after about a mile, it actually leads to all 6 of the German guns.
I told you I would find you.
Now, they don't know this at the time, but the reasons the Germans moved the guns to an alternate location was because all of the Allied bombing raids that took place prior to Normandy had orders that they weren't allowed to come back to Great Britain and land if they still had bombs. If they had bombs left after their mission, they were ordered to drop those bombs in the English Channel, or they could drop them on any German military installation they could find along the way. And as it would have it, by sheer coincidence, most of the time, the last German military installation before going into the English Channel was Point du Hoc. So it had been getting pounded for weeks and months by just random bombs at random times. And because of that, the Germans realized that they needed to move the guns to an alternate location, and the American and Allied forces had no idea. From there, the Germans were planning on having the men in the underground tunnel network at Point du Hoc be able to call back targeting information to the further back guns, and they'd still be able to fire on all the beaches. And the only reason these guns aren't firing at this exact moment is because Easy Company is down in that fortress fighting the Germans. And apparently the Germans that are supposed to be manning these guns haven't heard anything yet, because they're still back 50 yards away dicking off at their little camp, leaving the guns completely unmanned. So they both sneak up to these gun emplacements.
Well, you'd think they'd hear all the gunshots going on, or that somebody would be able to send a message ahead.
Lomell tells Jack, hey, give me your thermite grenade. Keep your gun pointed on those guys over there. If they start coming towards us, light them up, and that'll be my signal to hop out of the hole, and we'll try to run off back to Dog Company. So Jack postures up with his gun pointed at the Germans off in the distance. Lomell hops down in the hole. He starts using these thermite grenades. Now, it's a grenade, but it doesn't go boom. It's not loud. It just burns at 4,000 degrees. And he takes one of these grenades, shoves it down the first gun barrel, goes to the next one, shoves another thermite grenade down that gun barrel. He's out of thermite grenades. Every ranger was only issued one. He knows he's going to have to go back and get more thermite grenades and come back to destroy these guns, but he can't leave 4 guns perfectly operational. Anything could happen between now and then. So what he does is he takes his field coat off, wraps it around the buttstock of his rifle, and uses it to quietly break all the sighting equipment that he possibly can, and he's just jamming shit in all the traversing mechanisms, doing everything he can to ruin these guns the best he can without more thermite grenades. Once he's satisfied, him and Jack run back to Dog Company, get more thermite grenades, go back to the guns. Thank God they're still not guarding them, and they finish destroying the other 4 guns. So this is great news. The mission's accomplished. Now Dog Company just has to go hold this road for 24 hours until they get hit with reinforcements from Omaha and Utah Beach. As they're walking back to Dog Company, Jack kind of looks over at Lomell and is like, you know, it's probably a good thing we didn't get in a firefight back there. I've only got 1 magazine of ammunition. At which point Lomell is like, what? Why? He's like, I lost it at some point during, you know, all the climbing and running around from bomb crater to bomb crater. So yeah, I've only had 15 bullets on me this entire time. And he's like, why didn't you ask me for some? And Jack's like, I don't know, I didn't think about it. Regardless, they make their way back over to the road to link back up with Dog Company. When they get there, Dog Company is in the middle of a firefight. Dog Company's on one side of the road hiding in some foxholes or a ditch or whatever. On the other side of the road, there's a house and a German machine gun nest that they're having this firefight with. Lomell gets in there, figures out what's going on. Basically, his entire company is planning on just bum rushing a German machine gun nest, and he's like, well, hold on. He's feeling pretty good at this time, right? I mean, he took out those guns basically by himself. He's got that main character energy flowing. He's like, all right, here's the deal. You guys stay here, hand me that bazooka, arm the charge in the back, I'll take care of this. So they arm the charge in the back, hand him the bazooka, he goes running up, pops up out of the ditch with the bazooka, aims at the machine gun nest, they start returning fire, Lomell fires a bazooka, click! His guys didn't arm the bazooka round the right way. So he almost gets shot, ducks back down into the ditch. Well, that was kind of it's only gonna work once strategy, so we can't really replicate that now. So it looks like we are gonna bum rush this machine gun position. So he starts getting his guys ready, and he's like counting down, and one of his guys just like jumps the gun, like 1, 2, and he jumps up and goes to run. Germans open up with machine gun fire. He stumbles back into the trench and ends up landing on one of the other Rangers' bayonets on his thigh. So now he's another guy down just from him being a dumbass.
Oh my
God.
God.
That guy bandaged up, leave him in the trench, and the rest of them go assault this machine gun nest, take it out. Now they've secured the road. From there, Lomell's got like 12 guys left. He picks his 2 fastest guys and instructs them to run back to Point du Hoc, taking separate routes. That way, if one of them get caught, the other one should, in theory, still make it back and deliver the message to Lieutenant Colonel Rudder. Mission accomplished. We've destroyed the guns, and I desperately need reinforcements up to hold this road. Luckily, both men end up making it back to Rudder. They deliver the message. He's super happy about it. The problem is, all of the Rangers' communication construction equipment got damaged with all the water from the beach landing. In addition to that, they asked for more reinforcements to be able to hold Point du Hoc and secure the road. Unfortunately, there aren't any. What the Rangers have now is all they're gonna get. So Rudder sends Lomell's guys back to him with
taken out by hot dogs, bad like rough seas, and poor decisions.
the message, hold until duly relieved. Not exactly what Lomell wanted to hear, but it's what we got to do. So him and his men are just hiding, waiting to ambush anybody that's going to reinforce the beach. Luckily, after a couple of hours, more Rangers show up, about 50, 60 guys, and they line up along the road too. The Rangers are now spread out, covering about 300 to 400 yards of this road. About an hour later, an entire German battalion attacks, but they attack all the way on the other end of the Ranger formation. Lomell and Dog Company are the furthest away from it, so Lomell orders his men to hold their fire and not give up their position. That way, they're there to surprise them in case they try to flank the other Rangers. The Rangers repel the attack fairly quickly, which tells Lomell he definitely made the right decision because that was just testing them. They wanted to know how many Rangers were there, where they were at, and what they were capable of. And now they don't know that Lomell and Dog Company are there to help too. About an hour later, the Germans attack again, and they attack so hard, so quick that they end up fracturing the Ranger line, and the other two companies are forced to retreat. And by the time Lomell gets word that they're retreating, the Germans are already behind him, and he's completely cut off. So with the rest of the Rangers being driven back and Lomell and Dog Company being the only ones left behind enemy lines to guard this road, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to continue to guard the road to prevent reinforcements from making it to the beach because that's what the mission is. Back at Point du Hoc with the rest of the 2nd Ranger Battalion, they are boxed in on 3 sides by the Germans, and they have the ocean to their back. They have nowhere to go, and they are just stuck there trying to survive. Rudder finally comes to the realization that Dog Company has more than likely been killed in action since they didn't make it back with everybody else. So with that in mind and needing to keep himself from being overrun, he calls for naval gunfire into the enemy lines, which is actually where Lomell and Dog Company are. The USS Texas begins bombarding that exact area. For the next 2 days, the Rangers at Point du Hoc fight for their survival while Lomell and Dog Company...
Also, the USS Texas, if I remember correctly, did some crazy shit in the war. Like, for... keep stopping on the silliest faces that he makes. But, now, as you can imagine, the naval guns from the battleships can only fire so far inland. So, most of the time... Top of the morning to you. Neuroreal? If I'm saying that right. I'm assuming the G is silent.
You're stuck behind...
Oh god, what the hell? Ah! Sorry. Alright, but yeah. No, this is supposed to be a reaction. I was just pausing to mention something neat. The USS Texas actually flooded when most of the fighting was at a point where most naval guns weren't able to hit inland. The USS Texas basically flooded itself partially so that it would slightly lean over, thus allowing it to elevate its guns to an angle so that it could fire farther inland. And it just did this to just, devastate people. When you think you're out of range of the naval guns, and then all of a sudden you find out that, oh no, they have quite a bit more distance. But yeah. And also, I forgot to say, welcome to the stream, Neuroreal. I hope you've had a nice day. I don't know if they're still here. Somebody left and then another person came back in. It doesn't exactly say on my thing who's in or who's not. Oh well. And I sell foil hats. It did not say. Ah. Ah. Alright, well. Oh man. I'm getting close to the end, but I don't know how enough time. Yeah, only part of what you were saying showed up on OBS. I had to look on my phone to find the rest.
lines guarding the road while the USS Texas is constantly bombarding them. They pretty much just have to keep their heads down, hope that a large formation of Germans don't come looking for them, and hope that the USS Texas doesn't blow them off the face of the earth. Despite all of this, Lomell is still determined to stop reinforcements from making it to the beach, and if they do come marching by, he is going to attempt to do something about it, but with only 12 men, it's almost certainly a death sentence, and luckily, that doesn't end up happening. So while that's good, it is still a very long, very shitty 2 days because this entire mission was only supposed to be about a 12-hour ordeal. None of the Rangers packed food. They packed very little water. They are all starving. They're dehydrated, and at one point they all had to start using their helmets as toilets. Then on the second day, the Sherman tanks come rolling up from the beach. They drive the Germans back. Lomell and Dog Company are able to regroup with the rest of the 2nd Ranger Battalion. Lomell reports back to Rudder. Rudder's pumped. He thought Lomell and Dog Company were dead. And then Rudder realizes, oh shit, I've had the USS Texas shooting cars at you guys for the past 48 hours. My bad. At which point Lomell presumably is like, don't worry about it. I've got plot armor. It's no big deal. And again, I'm assuming here, but it's around this point where Lomell goes, oh shit, I got shot 2 days ago. And he pulls up his shirt, looks at his gunshot wound. It's right through the side, through the muscle, misses all the organs, but it's been like 3 days since he got shot and he has not been in a very clean environment.
Oh, no.
His wound is black and severely infected.
What the fuck?
Lomell immediately gets loaded up on a boat, sent up to a hospital ship. On the hospital ship, the surgeon is like, that's too much for me to handle here, and he gets sent back to Britain. While at Britain, Lomell undergoes surgery, gets treated with antibiotics. After he's recovered enough to actually, be given some kind of an assignment, it's basically determined by the chain of command, like, hey, we basically sent you in on a death mission. You got shot. You're the one that took out the guns at Point du Hoc. You've done enough. We're not going to send you back into combat. We're actually going to put you in charge of this prison, and this prison is full of American soldiers that skipped out on D-Day. And Lomell's not even a little bit interested. He basically goes AWOL, hitchhikes back to the front line, and links back up with the 2nd Ranger Battalion and Dog Company.
I'm back.
So he makes it back to his guys, and they're only like 7 miles further inland than they were when he actually left. And everybody kind of thinks that like the Battle of Normandy was like...
Also, just a short little tidbit. Arnold in The Terminator almost didn't say the "I'll be back" line. He didn't want to say it. Yeah. But the person's like, no, it's good, say it. Oh, okay. And now it's iconic.
Like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, it was literally 45 minutes and that was the end of it. But the Battle of Normandy was almost 3 whole months. So they're still in the middle of the same battle where he was injured. He's went back to a different country, gotten surgery, and hitchhiked back to the front line of the very same overall major battle. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, the enemy literally took out Leonard Lomell and he respawned into the same battle. Okay, this is the most main character shit that's ever happened. So he gets back to the 2nd Ranger Battalion. He is immediately given a promotion to Sergeant Major, the highest enlisted rank, and then he is also given the Distinguished Service Cross. Now, the Distinguished Service Cross is the 2nd highest award that you can get, right below the Medal of Honor, which raises a question, why on earth is he not being awarded the Medal of Honor? And the answer to that actually lies with the 1st Ranger Battalion that is currently basically a bunch of living legends after fighting through North Africa and Italy. Their commander, William Darby, they were affectionately known as Darby's Rangers. He felt that the Rangers were not a group of individuals that fought on the battlefield together, but they were one singular entity because that's how tight-knit their team was. So with that sentiment in mind, he kind of declared that Rangers weren't really eligible for the Medal of Honor because they didn't feel that one man should be honored, the entire unit should be honored. So on one hand, that's kind of cool, but on the other hand, it's kind of silly because he still allowed the Rangers to get every other singular individual awarded medal under the sun, including the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Stars, Bronze Stars, so like, why not let them get the Medal of Honor as well? Just seems kind of silly. And Lieutenant Colonel Rudder actually kind of agreed with me, and because of that, when he pinned the Distinguished Service Cross on Lomell's chest, he told him, and I quote, "This is your Medal of Honor." From here, the Rangers are going out on missions, a couple of skirmishes here and there. They end up going to the Battle of Brest. There's this hilltop that nobody else can take called Hill 63. They send the Rangers in. Rangers take over the entire thing. They control the hill until the Battle at Brest is over. They've won that. After that battle, Lomell gets another promotion, and he gets a battlefield commission to 2nd Lieutenant, becoming an officer. From here, the Rangers get sent over to a place called the Hertzgen Forest. Very, very dense forest, and it holds virtually no strategic advantage to the Allies, but for some reason, the Germans really seem to think it's important, so the Americans are just going to fight them for it. They don't even know why. And here's a kicker and sad/ironic part, but the Germans are actually running on the exact same line.
What, person, have you not heard the Battle of Brest? It's a very interesting battle. More attention should be brought to Brest. But yeah, no, sorry.
Logic. They also have no need for the Hertzkin Forest, and they don't know why they're fighting there. The only reason they're showing up and fighting so hard is because the Americans are showing up there and fighting so hard. So they think the Americans want it for some type of strategic advantage, and they have no idea why either.
Yeah.
So literally both sides of this extremely deadly battle are just operating on, I don't know what you're up to, but fuck you, I'm not going to allow it.
All right.
Fuck you!
Hello. There's a Jake. Mom, my dyslexia is acting up. Oh my God, it sounds like I'm having a stroke when I'm trying to pronounce her name. I apologize. But no, I don't have enough time to. Well, I would love to see your movie, but I unfortunately have to leave in 9 minutes. Yes, hi, Dad. I'm stroke. Yeah, sorry.
So Lomell and the Rangers end up showing up, and he's thinking in his head, like, okay, I'm an officer now. They're going to send us into battle. I'm going to go take the hard objective, whatever that is. We're going to win. Hooray. But the leadership doesn't really understand how to use the Rangers or know how to use them yet. So they just end up putting them out on the line and tell them to hold this ground and don't let the Germans through. And Lomell's pissed about this because A, this isn't how Rangers are supposed to be used, and B, this job absolutely sucks. You got to remember, it's like October 1944 over in like the Belgium, Germany area. Okay, it's super cold. And all these guys are doing is basically hiding in their foxholes, freezing their asses off all day. So this goes on for like a month, just being cold, having the Germans drop artillery on top of them, and then after a month, on seemingly a random day, they get orders to move out. They've got some dangerous mission they're supposed to go on. There's a town called Bergstein, and right next to that town is this gigantic hill known as Castle Hill by the Germans, but the Americans call it Hill 400 because it is 400 meters high. Hill 400 is the high ground of the Hertzkin Forest, and it is the reason that they're not making any headway in this battle because the Germans can see everything and they just call in artillery on top of them anytime they try to move forces forward. So the American forces have to take this hill in this town. The problem is every time they move an infantry regiment in, they just get beat back and nobody can seem to penetrate and take over this town and this hill. The last American unit that tried had just over 5,000 men and tanks and they failed. So now they're going to send in the 2nd Ranger Battalion with approximately 500 men. Lomell, his guys at Dog Company and F Company are going to be responsible for taking the hill, and all the other Ranger companies are going to be taking Bergstein. They spend the first 2 days sending out patrols, finding every single German machine gun nest and fortification, and after they know where every single German is, they launch a surgical attack and they're able to capture both Bergstein and the hill in an hour and a half. But the problem is both Dog and Fox Company commanders got killed during this attack, and now Lomell is...
The joke for me saying that was just the fact that they clearly there was innuendo that they were saying. So you were like, yo, hard objective, and at which point, the obvious answer would be to say, like, hard. But of course I'm going to be like, act the idiot and go, objective. Or, like, penetrate, and instead of saying that, just go like, town. Now that I've explained my unfunny joke.
Only officer on the hill, and he is in charge of everything. So now he's got to hold this hill for the next 24 hours till reinforcements show up. It shouldn't be that hard, but what Leonard Lomell doesn't know is that the only objective that the Germans care about in the Hertzkin Forest is Hill 400. You see, Hill 400 is high enough that if the Allies have it, they're going to be able to see far enough into enemy lines that they're going to be able to see a massive German force amassing, and they're going to know that a major German offensive is coming, and that is what is the Ardennes Offensive, or the Battle of the Bulge. This is Hitler's last-ditch effort to turn the tide of World War II, and it relies heavily on the element of surprise, and if the Allies have Hill 400 and they see it coming, it could ruin the entire plan. So the Germans absolutely have to retake this hill. And because of that, the German general in charge sends in his best infantry unit with the orders that whoever's able to retake that hill is all going to get their men Iron Crosses, which is like a very high-ranking German medal for valor, and they're all going to get 2 weeks of leave. Back on the hill, Lomell immediately orders all of the Rangers to start digging foxholes because he knows a fight might be coming, he just doesn't know how bad, and either way, you need foxholes to play defense, so that's what they try to do. Problem, it's winter, there's snow and ice all over the ground, and there's tree roots all over this dirt, so whatever foxholes they're able to dig, they're not very deep. So an hour later, when the German artillery starts landing, it absolutely devastates every Ranger on top of that hill. Almost every Ranger on top of the hill is hit with shrapnel from German artillery. It's just a matter of how bad their individual injuries are. Lomell himself is also hit in the hand, and his index finger...
It's called that because it was a bulge in the line. As time goes by, certain terms change meanings. Awful used to mean good, is a good example of that.
Fingers dangling by a piece of connective tissue. Between Dog and Fox Company, about 130 Rangers attack this hill, and right out of the gate, Lomell is already down to about 40 men that can move around and actually fight, and his mom's going to be pissed off because he's not going to be able to play the piano with 9 fingers. Lomell immediately realizes that playing conventional defense isn't going to work. He doesn't really have many foxholes, and even if he did, he doesn't have enough men to man him. So he decides the best defense is a good offense. He sends out 2-man scouts.
It still does. It's just it's not used as often. And bitch used to be a female dog. Was a female dog. However, in Japan it means slut. If you're calling someone a bitch in Japan, that means that you're basically saying they're a whore. But yeah, sorry.
Squads, and they're going to patrol around the base of the hill, and whenever they see that the Germans are starting to set up an attack, they're going to report back where the Germans are going to attack, and all
Well,
of
yeah, because it's more like the bitch and heat thing, but God, Guidelines is going to have my ass over these conversations.
men that Lomell has, all 40 to 50 guys are going to run and meet that attack head on and drive them back. And that's exactly what happens. Shortly after that shelling, the Germans attack.
Oh, yeah.
Lomell and his men meet him head on. They drive him back. They get shelled again.
It's
They
famous.
scout. They find where the Germans are going to attack again. They meet it head on again. And this goes on
Oh,
over
yes.
and over and over again. Lomell and his men are running around all over this hill. Getting
Yes,
every-
my car. Oh, well, I need to be careful. Person, I can't use that joke aloud about the rooster because people are going to take it out of context. They're just trying to get me canceled.
Single firefight that there is, and when they're not doing that, they're trying to render aid to all the guys that are wounded. But to the Germans, it feels a lot different because every time they try to attack from a different
And also, if you're going to use a rooster analogy, saying, haha, my cock is really loud, that's like, are you okay? What the hell's going on? Why is it making noises? But like, no, you could just say like, you could just say like, oh, my cock's been all over the place. No, just like, like just, or something along the lines of just, like, oh, my cock's really active in the morning, or just do various things like that. Just, just do that. But now that I've shown my juvenileness, I need to continue.
Spot at a different angle. They run face first into 50 pissed off Army Rangers.
Yeah,
so the Germans are thinking there's like 1,000 Army Rangers on top of this hill, but regardless, they keep on attacking and they keep on shelling them. And after 24 hours, when they're supposed to be getting reinforcements, Lomell is down to him.
Just because I'm white doesn't mean I can't have a British broadcasting channel.
Himself and about 25 other men that can fight. He calls for reinforcements, but there's none available because the Germans are also furiously attacking the town next to the hill as well. D-Day is commonly referred to as the longest day, but according to Lomell, this was by far the longest day of his life, and it made D-Day look like child's play. Which sounds absolutely crazy, but if anybody would know, it's him. At this point, there's no reinforcements on the way. He has a ton of injured men, a ton of men have been killed, and he only has like 25 guys left that can even kind of fight. He knows that he can't keep doing this much longer, if at all. So at this point, Lomell pulls his NCOs aside and asks them what they think about retreating. He figures they can get all the ambulatory men off the hill, and all the men that are too wounded to be moved can be captured by the Germans. He's been fighting them for the past 6 months, and he knows that the Germans are at least going to give them aid and take care of them to some degree.
Best we came up with, sir, is like, fuck it, Fuck it.
It's gonna be a shit show no matter what we do.
All right.
Fuck it.
Every single one of his sergeants is against it, and they are ready to fight to the death about it. So Lomell says, okay, that's what we'll do. And the next day, they do the exact same thing all over again, and somehow they manage to hold on to this hill. That night, after 40 hours of straight combat, the Germans finally let up, and Lomell's able to radio down to the town and say that it's all quiet on the hill. And apparently, they stopped attacking at the town too, so the Rangers down there are finally able to come up and start helping carry all of these wounded men down from this hill. Worth noting, if you've never carried a grown man on a litter, it is a motherfucker of a job, and that's if it's in good conditions in daylight on level ground. I can't imagine having to carry this many men in the dark down a hill covered in snow on a litter after 40 hours of straight combat. But the
Yeah, the fat electrician was a combat medic, or worked in an ambulance in the army. Also, that is the alarm that says I need to leave for work, or I should be gone. Okay, so I cannot skip work. I guess I'll finish up what little is left on another time. Thanks everyone for coming by. I'm sorry I couldn't finish it. I'll possibly see you later, and yeah, I'm sorry about that. I really have to go. I would at one point like to be able to do this as a full-time job, but currently I am a small-time creator, and I cannot afford to, well, yeah, just bye. All right. Thank you again, and see you later. Bye-bye. Yammer, 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 that's all I mean, bye.